All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about the end of the classic rock era and doing it in real time for a few real people out here just like you and just like me. Don't forget to support the channel. Buy me a coffee. Yep. My cup runneth almost empty. Um, there's Patreon. There's YouTube memberships. There are PJ Rock super chats. PJ is the reigning king of the super chat. I think he hit me up yesterday with a $5 super chat. So thank you, PJ Rock, and your super chatting ability. It is super. So one of my patrons, Robert G, Robbie G, we'll call him, sent me this article, and I think he sent me the other article about KQRS. Who cares, right? Okay, you can not care. It's a radio station in Minnesota. Yeah, the home of little tampon Timmy Walls. Anyway, I'll just stop there. Why do you always have to be political? Can't you just leave politics out of this? Everything is political. The radio business is political, as I will prove to you here. So KQRS, they're teasing big changes. It's always fun when a station changes format and it plays the same song over and over again. Except in this case, apparently they were playing Somebody to Shove by Soul Asylum over and over again. The band posted the playlist asking, what's going on at KQRS? Maybe it's an April Fool's Day joke, right? So maybe Soul Asylum getting some publicity here, probably the most publicity they've had in quite some time. I heard a version of Runaway Train they did last year. Yeah. Some bands don't age well. Okay. And was I a fan? I liked that one song. I liked that one Soul Asylum tune, but that was it. All right. There are maybe 10 songs from the 90s that I would play. Well, early 90s. See, this is what they don't talk about. The early 90s up until when they released that Nirvana album, the early 90s still had some classic rock mojo going on. And it even went into like 93, maybe 94. But man, did they put the brakes on that. Has anyone ever heard the song Pincushion by ZZ Top recently? It was a very big rock radio song in the, I want to say like the 94, 93 time frame. Doesn't get played. It doesn't get played on classic rock. It doesn't get played anywhere. And it's a great song. But because, we had all switched over, we all bundle, we all get our services together. So we all went over to listen to this grungy music, this alternative music that everybody had to listen to in unison. See, for people who always say, we like a little bit of DEI, we like some equality, some equity of outcome here. Yeah, we haven't seen that in quite some time. What you ought to do is have competition where, people are putting out songs and then you let the listener decide what they want to listen to. Hey, I liked a couple of songs from the 90s. I think my favorite song from the 90s is a tune called All For You by the one-hit wonders Sister Hazel. They may have had another hit that came along after that didn't do quite as well as All For You, but that might be my favorite song because it's very catchy. It's very melodic. And there were a few songs like that, but some would say that isn't really mainstream rock. That's alternative adult contemporary. That doesn't count. See how backward you are, Dave. You're just an old boomer. Well, technically, I'm on the edge of being a boomer. I'm actually a Gen Xer. So there's really nothing to listen to if you're a Gen Xer on these classic rock formats. So by the afternoon, this radio station, KQRS, was playing It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine. Isn't that an 80s song? I thought that was late 80s. Anyway, by the afternoon, it had resumed playing a mix of songs along with a pre-recorded ad teasing that host Steve Gorman, he's drummer from the Black Crowes, he's a drummer, would be returning to the airwaves soon. The station's Wednesday playlist notably featured a mix of songs released in the 90s. That's what we need. We need more 90s. Man in the Box by Alice in Chains, which was beat into the ground in the 90s. Good Riddance by Green Day, also beaten into the ground. Mr. Jones, one of the most irritating songs ever recorded by Counting Crows. And the music itself isn't bad, but it just irritates the poop out of me. Smashing Pumpkins, Disarm. There's a big one. Among others. It's a bit of a departure from its classic rock format that generally focuses on pre-90s rock music. Pre-90s rock music. You mean classic rock? That's what you're talking about. So it says details on what comes next at the popular classic rock station will be revealed on Thursday morning. Well, I'm recording this Thursday morning, so I guess I'll have to update you on what happens with their format. My guess is they're going to go wall-to-wall 90s. Now, here's another little problem with the 90s that people don't really talk about. There aren't enough songs from the 90s. Because everything just sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah, they were huge hits, but nothing moved the other song out. It just was played for months on end. And people were like, hey, let's hear some Smashing Pumpkins, or let's hear the 5 songs that were big that year. I understand that like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and those things are monsters, right? I look at the view totals on the videos, and it's insane. It's crazy, but I still contend that this stuff was all foisted on us. This wasn't an organic uprising of music. Like the stuff from the 80s, it was always bubbling under, and then it just exploded. No, they decided that this was a natural response to all of the decadence. Look, I would probably give Unskinny Bop a little bit of a rest, right? I mean, you take maybe a little cheese out of the 80s, which you can do, especially if you're programming a classic rock station. You don't have to play a lot of hair metal. You have to play stuff that's a little more blues-based. That's been my contention for quite some time. And you had the Robert Cray Band. You had the Jeff Healey Band. You had Eric Clapton cranking out albums. You had a lot of what I would consider a roots music revival happening toward the end of the 80s and into the early 90s, which has completely evaporated. Remember Kenny Wayne Shepherd, mid-90s. That was a real weird thing. He got on there. The song was kind of dark, hence that's why they probably mistook it for a grunge song or something, but it was a blues song. And see, this is what you need more of. You don't need less of it, you need more of it. And as far as programming old music at this point, you have decades of music to work with. The 60s has pretty much been put on a shelf somewhere. The 70s, you could do so much more because there is just all this time that has gone by. So you could start digging into this music more than just playing the most obvious choices from every single band. And like I say, you can maybe uncheese the 80s a little bit, be a little bit more selective, play some things that people forgot about, and make it sound all like a real classic rock station. And like I say, a blues-based music without, all of this negativity and droning on and screaming and destruction and despair. We've been doing this for 30 plus years. And I understand people are tired of hearing the same three Led Zeppelin songs on these radio stations. Um, Again, they have a huge catalog. You can unearth a few tracks that maybe you never played on the radio, or they were once played back in the old days when FM radio was free to roam and the DJs actually did what they liked to do. And the audience responded because guess what? The DJs were smart enough because they would hear a song and go, hey, I think my listeners would like this song. Not like, hey, I just got a phone call from corporate and they don't want me playing that deep track because it's going to, alienate people who don't know the song. Because that's where we're at now, right? You can't surprise anybody with music that sounds like classic rock, is familiar because it's a band people know. What about Bad Company? Hopefully they're going to get into the Hall of Fame. Shooting Star and Feel Like Making, those aren't the only two Bad Company songs, right? There are a ton of Bad Company songs. The 10 from 6 album, pretty much you can play all of that, plus maybe 20 more tracks that people have forgotten about. Or maybe, you play something a little different, and you educate people. Hey, remember in those days, albums had like 10 tracks, maybe 11, maybe 9, depending on the length of those songs. And there are a lot of great songs that aren't played and people will never hear them. And that's why when they go to the concerts, right, they run to the bathroom because, oh, I don't know this song. And then, the person next to them who's probably an expert says, yeah, it's from such and such album. It was track 3. I used to play this all the time. I'm glad they're playing it because I'm here to see this band. I'm not here for, karaoke or for, the local radio format. I'd like to hear the band's catalog. And a lot of people would like to hear the band's catalog. You know what, folks? My thoughts on this, if you, again, had someone with deep pockets that wanted to launch a terrestrial radio network, much like, what Sirius XM tries to do, but free. Like you don't have to pay monthly for it. And they have advertisers, right? And they don't kill you with ads, but they charge a lot for the ads because they're getting all the people with disposable income listening who have been fed up, disgusted, tired of all of the BS, which they hear every single day, the same songs. And the media plays up the same songs. Oh, Foreigner's one big hit song, I Want to Know What Love Is. And they talk about it as if it's the only song the band's ever recorded. Same thing with Journey, right? Don't Stop Believin'. Here's a band that probably peaked, right around that time, but they had other songs after that, and they had a whole bunch of stuff before that. And you hear that one song because, the song has taken on a life of its own. No, you've forced that song on us over and over again, and you reinforce the stereotypes, and people think to themselves, well, I hope they play Don't Stop Believin' because that's on my bucket list, right? If I don't get my bucket list, then what's the point of going to this concert? The point of going is to hear the band playing this music, and they have lots of music. And do you feel ripped off if you don't hear that one song? Most people do. That's how they behave. I would be like, wow, they had some guts tonight. They played stuff they don't normally play. And I've heard Don't Stop Believin' 6 million times, so it's fine. I'm happy. I can adjust. I can deal with it. But you didn't get to hear the best song they've ever done. Who says it's the best song they've ever done? The media? The radio industry? The Sopranos? You're gonna like measure what's great because it's in a movie? I don't know, folks. I think we've kind of lost the plot here with classic rock. It's easy to fix this format, but what you need to do is start from scratch. You don't need to just play 90s. I mean, The boomers are going to be like, you got to be kidding me. Really? We have all this money to spend, and you guys are going to go all 90s. All right, cool, man. Um, I'll find a different radio station to listen to. And this is why people tell me, Dave, just create a Spotify playlist and enjoy your life. And unfortunately, folks, that's probably the solution to all of this. My name is Dave. This is my channel. God bless everybody, and I will talk to you soon.